Okay, I'm going to start again. Okay, let's go. Hi everyone, Elle Hackney here and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I like to speak to authors, illustrators, podcasters, book reviewers, or creatives to see how they got to where they are and talk about books. And today I am really excited because back when I first started interviewing authors, it was by email and I had my list of questions, and I have one of my very first written interview authors with me today to speak to face to face. Her name is Sharon Giltrow. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. It's great. And thank you for all you do for the Kidlit and all your support.
Oh, thank you. Because it's a wonderful place to be because I get to speak with wonderful creatives like yourself who come up with some fantastic picture book concepts. And I particularly love your concepts because you've got three amazing books where you've reversed the roles of what would usually be the child and or the parent or the grandparent, and you've swapped them around and you've made these amazing picture books. So Sharon, can you just tell us how you started in this industry and fill in the blanks as to where you are now?
Yeah, so well, I've always liked writing. English was my favorite subject at school, so I loved writing stories and creating stories. And then, like a lot of people, you just put that on the back burner when you become an adult, unfortunately. And then when I had my own children, I thought, well, I would like to get back into writing. So I first joined a writers group where we wrote short stories. We'd meet each month and we'd have a theme. So we'd write, 200 to 500 words on that theme. So that got my writing brain working again. And then I thought, well, I really want to write children's books because that's what I love. And being a teacher, and a parent, I read a lot of children's books. So I thought, oh, I can do that. And I've got some good ideas. And then my ideas started with parenting because that's what I was doing at the time. So Bedtime Daddy, I wrote back in 2018. That's that one. So that was the first one about putting a daddy to bed. So that was inspired by my son and his dad when they decided to switch roles, and my son was putting him to bed because as parents we were tired and we wanted to go. But as children, they're not tired and they don't want to go to bed. So and then I thought about all the funny things that parents have to do to get their children into bed. So I wanted to make it humorous, but also, give parents a sort of pat on the back for doing that hard routine every night.
It is an absolute hard routine for many, many years. So with the amount of experience you had at the time with your son, clearly being a bit cheeky, doing different things, wanting to stay up, and as he grew, no doubt the excuses changed as to why he wanted to stay up. So how many drafts did you do of this story before you submitted it? Because, well, like any parent out there, it's kind of a common thing. And no doubt you had a lot of you could say inspiration there to write that story.
Yes, so I was very passionate about writing it, so I kept going at it. I think I got up to about 9 versions before I submitted it to the publisher. So before I was happy with it, and I wrote it and sent it to my critique groups. They would suggest things, and I'd change it. So it changed quite a lot from the beginning.
Sorry.
That's okay. The initial title was How to Put Your Grown Up to Sleep, I think, and then one of my critique groups said you can't really say that. It has two meanings. So even Bedtime Daddy was the title that I came up with just sort of right before it got published. So yeah, it changes right up to when you get it published.
Wow. So your critique group have been there every step of the way with your author career, really.
Yeah, so I've had a few. Started with online critique group. So that's a great thing about Kidlit community. You can, and they were in America, the first critique group I had. So we just swapped stories online, and then now I've got my fantastic in-person critique group that I just use all the time now. And we meet once a month in person at a local cafe and share our work.
Wow. So has anyone in your US group been published as well out of your critique group?
Yes, they have. Yeah, they have been published as well. And there's also, I was in a debut through group as well with some people in America because we all had books coming out in 2020 when Bedtime Daddy came out, and we were all debut authors, so we didn't really know the process. So we sort of supported each other, and yeah, so a lot of them have been published, and a lot of them have got 2 or 3 books now. So, and we still support each other, and yeah, I think you've got to have a lot of support along the way.
And that's what I love about the Kidlit community, because thanks to everyone's support, I'm interviewing people, you know, so I love the Kidlit community. It's absolutely incredible. So just talking about what you said just now in regards to being published, because you know things authors who haven't been published yet know, because you've been on that side of the fence. So are you able to share just some inside information as to how it all went for you when you got your first contract?
Yeah, so Bedtime Daddy was published with EK Books, and I sent it to about 13 publishers. I got 13 rejections before EK Books signed it. So yeah, one of the things is don't give up. Just keep sending when your manuscript's ready and you think it's ready and it's the best that you can make it. Just keep sending it out, because you're never going to get published unless you submit. And I just had a list of publishers that I wanted to be published with. So once a month, usually at the end of the month, I would send out submissions. And sometimes even now I look at people's Instagram posts when they have their books coming out, and I see who's published them. So, you know, if you like the look of a book and you like the publisher, just make note of who they are, and yeah, just so you know who the publishers are, because it's you got to find them yourself sometimes.
Yeah, it certainly is a hustle. Did you do any manuscript assessments with any of the publishers?
Um, Not for these ones. For Samara Rubin and the Utility Belt, which is my early middle grade, I did a writer's course, and as part of that, I could submit to agents and publishers. So that was really valuable doing that middle grade course, because I had only written picture books before. So yeah, so sometimes writing courses also give you a chance to submit to publishers. So that's another way of doing things. I did do a manuscript assessment once, but yeah, they're also good, but I haven't really done many of them, mostly because they're paid, and so as an author, you got to put your money where you think it's most beneficial.
Yep, absolutely. And there's so many things, isn't there, that you could really pay for. It can really get out of control if you let it. So I want to speak about this book here as well. Yeah. Let's Go Shopping, Grandma, because I love it. I love this book. This is so good. So with the illustrations, did you have any sort of feedback with these illustrations?
So the style obviously helps. That's Dwani's style, very bright, and so they sent me the early pictures. For that one I did, where grandma's giving Charles giving grandma a piggyback, because Dwani had it sort of carrying grandma from the front, and I said, no, this is what I mean by piggyback. So I sent a picture of her, someone piggybacking somebody, because Dwani's in Mumbai, so there's a little bit of cultural differences. So yeah, so I had a fair bit to do with the illustrations for Let's Go Shopping, Grandma. Dixie Books allowed me to be in contact with Dwani, and we shared everything. So yeah, I made quite a few suggestions, and Dwani was happy to incorporate them. So that was great. Even like the back page, that was a nighttime scene. I said, I don't think it took them all day to do the shopping. Can we just swap that to like a daytime out of the window? So yeah, so that was really good.
Yeah, because I think it's really well done and it's captured exactly what you wanted. Because some of those cheeky little illustrations I could just absolutely relate to in this book here, because my children do this kind of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but that's wild to know. So you worked with an international illustrator, someone on the other side of the globe almost, not necessarily an English speaking country, and you had to navigate that. Can you talk to me more about that, please?
So yeah, it was interesting because obviously her experience of going shopping in Mumbai is different to my experiences. So when I was writing it, I was picturing, my local shopping centre and where I went with my kids, and I was, picturing the checkout, and then she'd come back with a different checkout. Like, I said there had to be treats on the checkout because when you go to buy your food, it's when the kids want they want to have a treat. So even the way she portrayed the treats was different to what in Woolies that you have. So, and it was quite nice. It was nice to have that difference as well. So yeah, that was and even the colours, I mean the very bright colours, and yeah, I was very pleased with it. And catching the bus, I mean the bus scene, it looks like lots of skyscrapers out the window. So it's all those little details that would be from her experience of going shopping. So that was lovely to have that.
Yeah, especially to know you nailed it both so well, and to know that I've never been traditionally published with a picture book before, but to know your illustrator can come anywhere in the world, and
Yes,
you both still come up with a fantastic end result, is that's amazing. So that's so good to know. And
yes.
so with your future books, what have you got coming up in the pipeline?
So I've got I'm working on Samara Ribbon and Utility Belt. That's also the illustrator for that is in America. She's in New Jersey. So again, she's Tuvu. So but I meet with her regularly about once every 2 weeks to discuss the illustrations and meet with the publisher who also in America. So we're working on the next book, Toby King and the Utility Belt, which I've written, but now we're doing the illustrations, like working on it together, and the final edits. And then there'll be a third book, which I've already written, but again, the process is quite long. And that's Kaya Bell and the Utility Belt. So that's keeping me busy. And then I'm also working on another early middle grade about
Wow.
becoming human and human evolution. So yeah.
Wow. So with your experience with your picture book contracts and now your middle grade contracts, what's the time difference? Because I understand a picture book can be close to a year between signing it and the book coming out. What are the time frames like with middle grade?
So my picture books were about 18 months to 2 years after I signed. I wrote Samara Ribbon in 2019 and that came out last year, so that was 4 years. But the only reason that was so long is that we knew it was, well, I didn't know it was going to be a series when I wrote it, but when I got to the end, I went, this can be a series. And the publisher wanted me to write book 2 before we published book 1 because it changed a bit. So yeah, I think if you're doing an early middle grade series, it can take just as long because the publisher wants to see the whole series before they publish the first book. And obviously the illustrations don't take as long, but then you have to think about where the illustrations go in the book, and the editing takes a lot longer for early middle grade as well. Lots more words.
So that's something good to know because I didn't know that. So just in your experience with the publisher that you've got, they when you're pitching a series, they want to know the whole series rather than just book 1, the first one.
Yes.
So that's something I actually didn't know. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, especially if the characters are obviously in the same book, like Samara's in Toby's book and Toby's in Samara's book and Kaya comes into both, the book later. And so, yeah, and they all
Are
have.
there elements of your children in these books?
Not so much my children, but school because it's set in a school. So I picture the everyday life of being at a school or going to the beach or so yeah. Because my children are much older now, so yeah, I'd have to write YA, but I'm not ready ready for that.
Now, I am super curious because back when I first spoke with you with my very first written interview with you, you told me one of your pieces of advice is to slow down and put the manuscript away and have a think about it, let it sit. And I'm not familiar with those words because I'm like a million miles an hour. Does that still stand? Is that still what you do with your manuscripts?
Yes, I do. Yeah, unless it's one that I really think I want to get published now, and I think it's like, if I don't do it now, somebody else might do it. But then sometimes you can be a bit too quick to submit them. So I'm trying to tell myself to slow down as well. There's plenty of time. Don't rush. And you've got all these ideas, so just write your ideas, and then you don't have to submit it straight away. Just let it sit for a bit, and yeah, and even like Samara Rubin and Utility Belt started as a picture book. So I let that sit for a while, and then someone suggested I turn it into an early middle grade. So you never know where your manuscript might go.
That's true. A picture book turning into a middle grade, that's an evolution in itself.
Yes. Hence
And
why
so,
I did the writing course.
and so with your author visits, any tips or tricks for authors out there? Because you've got some pretty funny books there to show children.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting because this morning I spent about 2 hours sending emails to the local library saying I'm available for author events. This is my website. Have a look at my page to see what I offer. I used to be quite generic about what I offered, but then I've seen other people's websites where they sort of break it down into, I can do this for this age group and I can do writing workshops for older children. So I quite liked that format. So I think just give libraries and schools as much information about yourself as you can and what you've got to offer them and the children.
And do you ever do your author visits via Zoom or do you prefer them in person?
I haven't done any Zoom ones, but yeah, I've only ever done it in person. Yeah, but open for anything. The
Okay,
time
so
difference can be a bit tricky.
schools and libraries and even kindergartens, make sure you check out Sharon's website because these books, the Get Ready Mama, the Bedtime for Daddy book, and Let's Go Shopping Grandma, they're really funny. And the really good thing is that they're easy to read. They're beautifully illustrated, very bright, very colorful, and they will not only engage the child, they'll also engage the adult reading them as well. And so Sharon, for anyone out there who does want to book an author visit with you or contact you, what's the best way to do this?
So it's probably the best way to do it is via my website. So if you just Google Sharon Giltrow author.com, the website will come up and then there's a contact page there and an author visits page. So people can have a look at that and my books. My books are all there. So yeah, and links to buy the books. And I update my website quite regularly. When I had someone create it for me, I asked him to also teach me how to update it, so I can do that quite easily myself now, which is good.
It's
It's a bit
amazing
daunting
what
at
we
the
learn
beginning.
on our author journeys, isn't it?
Yes, that's it. I think that's important to keep it up to date.
And so, for aspiring authors out there who would love to be in your shoes, do you have any words of advice?
Um, just make sure you keep it fun as well. Your writing. Sometimes you can get a little bit caught up in the business side of it, but just try and remember why you started writing and why you are writing, and make it fun for yourself and the people reading your books, and take it. Yeah, don't rush and never give up.
Yes, never give up because I still remember those words. The author advice you gave me was put it away and just have a think for a little bit. And I went, I can't do that, Sharon. I'm so excited.
And that's the same thing.
But it's great author advice. Honestly, it really is
Yeah.
such good advice, just to not rush into it. Make sure your work's the best it can possibly be. But Sharon, I'd like to thank you so much for speaking with me today. Everyone watching this video, if you could please check out Sharon Giltrow. She is on Instagram. She's got some great content on her socials. Her website's super fun. It's got all her books there and all her information. You can read all about what she's doing. It's a great website, and Sharon does great work. So please make sure you follow her, share her content, and especially buy her books. They're really good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you. Bye.